Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the intense geopolitical challenges and, honestly, the massive long-term structural overhauls that are completely reshaping India's maritime sector as we speak. We are looking at a fascinating collision right now. On one hand, you have these immediate, chaotic global shipping crises. On the other, a wildly ambitious national blueprint designed to turn India into an absolute global logistics powerhouse over the next 2 decades. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, because the bottlenecks we're going to unpack today literally dictate the price of almost everything you buy.
Okay, so here's our agenda for today. First, Red Sea and global shifts. Second, the India-Middle East lane. Third, West India capacity constraints. Fourth, the domestic container manufacturing push. Fifth, launching the national carrier. And finally, number 6, Vision 2047 and megaports. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. Red Sea and global shifts. To really understand the current landscape, we have to look at the absolute whiplash of February 2026. It perfectly demonstrates just how fast global supply chains can be turned upside down by geopolitical instability. We saw major players like Maersk and Hapag-Lloyd, working under their Gemini cooperation, attempt to return to the Suez Canal for their ME-11 service. That's a crucial route connecting India and the Middle East to the Mediterranean. But then, almost as soon as it started, boom! By late February, transits were abruptly suspended all over again, following the outbreak of the Iran war.
So what's the takeaway here? The crucial point is that while the Suez route offers massive time and cost savings, we're talking about slashing journey times by up to 12 days and dropping rates by about $200 per TEU, or 20-foot equivalent unit, it comes with a huge catch. The heavy reliance on naval escorts and navigating shifting conflict zones just makes it deeply unpredictable. Carriers are out there constantly weighing these major cost benefits against some very severe security risks.
Moving on to Section 2, the India-Middle East lane.
Supported by the 2022 Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, this specific trade lane is actually showing some remarkable resilience. Volumes of things like electronics, textiles, and foodstuffs are surging. The base rates for the Mundra to Jebel Ali route remain relatively steady at around $250 per TEU for a quick 2.5-day transit. But you have to look at the full picture. Those fully landed, door-to-door delivery costs, they are still pushing up near $4,800. Quite a gap, right? And here's the kicker. Despite the fading impact of the broader Red Sea crisis on this specific shorter lane, carriers are still successfully pushing through peak season surcharges and rate hikes to pad their margins. CMA-CGM is pushing a $200 increase per container, while Hapag-Lloyd is targeting reefer shipments. The reality is, demand is just so incredibly strong right now that carriers still hold all the pricing power.
All right, Section 3. West India capacity constraints.
If we look at the situation on the ground, the congestion crisis is severe. Terminals are literally packed to the absolute brim. Surging cargo volumes, constant rail bottlenecks, and incredibly strained inland transportation have actually forced the massive Mundra port to aggressively shrink its export cargo gate-in window. They had to slash it from 14 days down to just 10 days before vessel departure, purely to manage the yard space. It's a real crunch. To make this a bit more concrete, think about the day-to-day delays logistics professionals are facing at Nhava Sheva's BMCT facility right now. You're looking at a combined delay of potentially a week or more just to get an empty box packed and processed through the terminal gates. Imagine the sheer frustration of a container just sitting there, waiting for an entire week. This means missed cutoffs, container rollovers, and a whole lot of expensive headaches for shippers.
And just to add fuel to the fire, the Mediterranean Shipping Company recently pulled its Indus Express service, which connected West India to the U.S. East Coast. This acts as a massive negative multiplier. It abruptly dumps approximately 6,000 TEUs of cargo right back into alternative routes that, frankly, are already completely full.
So, faced with all these immediate, high-stress logistical storms, from the chaos in the Red Sea to severe local congestion, we really have to ask, how does the nation plan to restructure its ecosystem to prevent this from happening in the future? That brings us to Section 4, Domestic Container Manufacturing Push. Okay, you've got to appreciate the sheer audacity of this target. As of right now, China holds a staggering 95% global monopoly on container manufacturing. India? They're producing a mere 30,000 units a year. But the government's new mandate is aiming to completely shatter that monopoly by supercharging domestic production to 1 million TEUs annually. That is a massive leap.
And they're not just talking a big game. They're backing this up with a 10,000 crore rupee container manufacturing assistance scheme. This isn't just about bending steel into metal boxes. It's designed to be a massive economic catalyst. The goal here is to make these indigenous containers 25% cheaper than imports, keep foreign exchange in the country, and in the process create over 53,000 new jobs across India.
Section 5. Launching the national carrier.
So, along with making their own boxes, enter the Bharat Container Shipping Line, or BCSL. The launch of this national carrier is a direct, heavily capitalized solution to shield Indian trade from the exact kind of global carrier volatility, sudden route cancellations, and extreme rate hikes we examined earlier in this explainer. They are taking control of their own supply chain.
This initiative brilliantly pools the resources of some major state entities. You've got the Shipping Corporation of India and Concor, each holding a 30% stake, joined by Sagamala Finance and major port authorities. Working together, they are aiming to order 15 domestically built container ships by the 2026-27 fiscal year. And they aren't stopping there. They plan to scale up to a formidable fleet of 51 vessels within just 5 years.
Finally, Section 6, Vision 2047 and Megaports. Let's look at the long game.
10,000 million tons per annum. This staggering figure represents the ultimate 2047 goal to nearly quadruple national port capacity from the current footprint, which sits at around 2,700 MTPA. This is an infrastructure scale-up of truly historic proportions. Just imagine building multiple entirely new cities from scratch, but exclusively for cargo.
But it's crucial to understand this capacity expansion isn't just physical, it's deeply technological. They aren't just out there pouring concrete for megaports like Vodhavan. They are building smart ports, driven by artificial intelligence, digital twins, and blockchain. They're heavily integrating deep hinterland connectivity via rail and 20 new national waterways, all while pivoting hard toward decarbonization and massive green hydrogen energy hubs. And the crazy thing is, we're actually already seeing the fruits of this sci-fi level vision over at the Vizhinjam International Seaport. Operating as India's very first semi-automated port, it is rapidly climbing global rankings. It's out there successfully handling ultra-large container vessels and processed a record 123,000 TEUs in January 2026 alone.
What we are watching is a sweeping, fundamental transition. We are moving away from today's congested, traditional terminal setups that are quite frankly buckling under current demands, and leaping toward a seamless, highly automated 10,000 MTPA infrastructure that will completely redefine India's future role in global seaborne trade. So as we wrap up this explainer, the blueprint is undeniably set. The billions in funding are flowing. But navigating this massive overhaul over the next 2 decades amid intense geopolitical storms is going to be a monumental task. The real question is, will India's aggressive capital investments be enough to actually break those entrenched foreign shipping monopolies and crown it the new king of global logistics? Thank you so much for joining us, and definitely let us know what you think about all this.